Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm kind of excited to have this conversation with all of you guys, whatever, if you're live or not live on, because as you know, we have had a very interesting couple of weeks, and I think it's a topic of everybody's conversation all the time. I was joking with a friend now, there is no sentence or no conversation without the C word. And it's being also used very nicely for any excuse of anything. And there is definitely a lot of energies going around, and there is interesting conversation, creations, effects, and all of that. I mean, we have the physical thing with the virus, but then we also have all the practical things occurring in the world, how to be, how to create, how to do, how to live. And in the last week, well, the week before I was out because of my dog, but this week I've been really looking at creation and business in a very different way. That's why I wanted to bring out conversations now more, because it's very easy to go on a waiting mode. We have a problem going on. Some countries are locked down. If you're caught up in your apartment, or you're not allowed to meet people, or whatever it is, it's very interesting where our mind goes and what we see as possible and not possible, and how easy it is to stop creating because we don't see a possibility. And this is, for me, the time where we can look at very different possibilities. For me, that doesn't mean I do the same, just a little bit more, or try to do it in one version, or find a solution to everything, because I think this is going to be a little bit of a longer stretch in general than we maybe anticipate. And I have a lot of friends that already have quite a bit effect on them and their business, because they're in the service area and they have a hotel and they have this and that, and it's being shut down in different countries, and literally from one day to another. And it's not necessarily something that you have prepared for. And any business that has to do with people, I think, will definitely have some question marks. What do we do now? What can we create? What's possible? And our not only our heads might go to problems, the whole around us goes to problems. And I was joking with Sinja, like, maybe Sinja's effect of what's going on. Yes, it could be. And it's very easy to project that. It's very easy to project that at anybody, and if it's animals or people, and also at ourselves. And also what I've noticed is, it's almost like you find the problem, like say, okay, we have a problem, it's Corona, so it stops everything, and we don't go beyond that. So it's not only the problem, it is also the blockage. It is when that is resolved, when that is over, then we can. So what I've noticed with some of my clients, business clients that I coach and contribute to the business growing, is that they have started, it's almost like it started to grow in them, the thought, I have to wait, then I can. So when this is over, then I can do something. Before that, I'm almost like on a waiting mode, or it's a pause, a break, or we have to wait for the next instruction. Depending on what country you're on, there's different restrictions. And there's more coming, of course, because it's growing. So people have to act, the countries have to act, the countries have to show that they're doing something. And there's different policies in different countries. And that's totally fine. But one thing I know is, does not matter what policy is going to be imposed on us, there is always other possibilities. They will not look the same that we have today. So if I'm in one area of work, it might be very different if I'm willing to open up the possibilities, whatever it means. If it's how I live, how I be, how I interact, how I create, how I do business, clients, it can change a lot. For me, it's more, what contribution can I be now to create possibilities, instead of waiting a couple months, where a lot of people will have a different financial situation that might not be joyful at all. Because I think a lot of people will be gifted, like the first month, most people, I think, will cope. So if I can say it in those words, and at some point there might be some more relevant things to really look at. But if we start looking at it today and asking questions, and it's almost like, explore it, be willing to be in the question. For me, that really means in a question that allows new possibilities in. It's not only something we talk about. It's not something that we, oh yeah, let in a little new possibility that will tweak my business a little bit. No, totally different possibilities. We might be on a track of something, and we might have to jump tracks. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to allow that? Are we also welcoming that into our lives? It does not mean our business is right or wrong at all. It just means, or the way we're creating or living our lives. But if you're not necessarily super happy with what is today, or you see, wow, we might have to change something, then I believe, or what my point of view is now in this moment, is that now is a great time to start looking at things, asking for things, also then at some point implementing new things, as it's not something that is over in a week. I think we're all aware of that, depending where we live. Of course, I don't know where you live, not all of you guys, and we all have different things. I mean, if you're in Europe, we most likely will have a beautiful lockdown in all countries, or a very restricted one, and it's starting in every country, and every day there's kind of a new country adding on to it. So it's not a surprise. I don't think anybody will be surprised by more restrictions in Europe. And the EU, what I understood, has also given quite a lot of guidelines, not necessarily that we know them all, but after every meeting, there's a country or two starting to implement directly something. Sweden did that directly after the meeting, where I'm looking at, okay, all of this is okay. Look, for me, it's like a bad movie, a bad movie. It's so badly directed, and I'm still in it. I'm not in the drama of it, but I'm definitely in it, as there are rules and there are laws and regulations. My venue in Germany was just canceled for a class that I have. Number one, I don't even know if I'm allowed to Germany in 2 weeks. Number two, I don't even know if people are allowed to go to an event that is 10, 15 people. They don't have the regulations yet, but it's really funny. But the hotel closed. They have 2 hotels in the city, so they closed one down. I get it. They don't have a lot of customers, but you just get an email. I talked to them yesterday, today, I just get an email. I'm like, oh, wow. So there's things that we have to choose. And then again, am I going to have this class? Yes or no? At some point, it's up to me to choose it, of course. I can wait until I have a yes or no, if I'm allowed or not. Or I can also look, hey, what will create greater? And not try, oh, let's try to do this because then everybody can come, or fix things, or try to squeeze in the next thing to make more money. I go often in the opposite direction. I don't want to do that. I don't want to use people now in their vulnerable situation to gain money or something like that. And I was like, oh wow, I'm reacting to something too. So I've been having to look at my reactions and my points of views about all of this, and willing to look at, okay, what contribute? Number one, am I willing to contribute to this situation, what's going on, or to people, or to businesses? If so, am I willing to continue having my business? Yes or no? And so I've had to look at a lot of things, and I'll have to look at my own points of views, how I judge things, if I have a judgment, if I'm reacting to things, because from reactions, there's usually not really great creations. They're very small. And if I'm not honest and looking at myself and asking myself these questions, I will be trapped in a creation that is a very limited creation. It's a small version of what's possible. And this is for me in every area of our life. So I'm just looking now at a business perspective on it, but it's the same thing with my personal life too. So either I can act or react. Often we react. So we wait for something, or when something is being said, then I react. For example, I'm aware that the borders might close to Germany from one side or another. And so I was looking at, okay, maybe I should just prepare myself that I can jump into Germany, because usually they announce this a day before. The close down. My dad lives in Germany, so I was like, oh, maybe I should go and visit. I might not be able to meet him almost, because he is very in his risk, so no risk groups. But this is where I'm like, I have to be willing to look at my actions, my plans, what I would like to create, and then also look, hey, is this a reaction for or against, or am I willing to create with things? Am I willing to have the information that I require and then go beyond that? This is a beautiful example of willingness for us to look at creations in a new version, a new way, because of a bigger restriction that we cannot really go beyond without being noticed, if we look like that. If we have, if you're in quarantine in your home, you're quite quarantined in your home, no? You can have a dog and then you get out. So everybody that has a dog is very lucky they can get out of their home. But here is to look at, okay, what if there's a totally different possibility and it's not fighting the system? It's not against the problems. It's not reacting to the situation. So every situation that so-called, bad has a lot of possibilities. It has tons of possibilities, and often it creates a lot of awareness with people. I mean, I think you all have seen some of the environmental effects that have already occurred within very short time. You're like, wow, we might have a totally different awareness about the planet within a couple of weeks. Am I willing to be part of that and create with that? Or am I going to wait out to see if my business works after this whole fuzz, after all these problems? So here is for me to look at, where are you willing to be involved with you, your life, your business in this situation that is occurring for more or less the whole world? And it, for me, it doesn't matter if it's exaggerated, if it's a lie, the whole thing, if it's a created, invented thing, if it's a strategy from the world. I really don't care. I mean, we might get a lot of information after this, what it was, blah, blah, all that, because there's a lot of theories that it's not true, that it's not this and that, blah, 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 blah. For me, okay, well, they're all interesting point of view. It doesn't really matter. At the moment, there's some facts that I have to, if the country is closed down, well, I kind of can notice that then I cannot go over to Denmark at the moment, what I love doing. So that is, you could say, per se, a fact that I have to deal with. And if it's good or bad, it really, again, it doesn't really matter. This is the information I have. I can fight it. I can hate it. I can be against it. Doesn't really matter. Or I can really be interesting point of view. And what else can I create now? What else is possible? Am I willing to look beyond what I've done so far in my life, what I've been creating, what has worked for me? Or am I just going to try to find the next easiest thing that works for me? And that can also be great. I mean, some people really just need a new job at the moment because they are unemployed, because they work in the service area. And I totally get that. And when I looked at Sweden, like, if you're unemployed in Sweden, well, you get money. That doesn't occur in every country. So they're quite safe here, even if they lose their jobs. People that have a business in Sweden, they're much more affected by it, because you just don't get super easy just unemployed. It's a very different financial situation. But we are where we are. And then, what are the infinite possibilities at this moment that we could truly ask for? And I really mean truly ask for, because very easily we ask for something, we grab the first best thing, and we go with it. And I don't say that's wrong, but we often are looking for solutions. We're often looking for the solution to our so-called problems. So if we find one, we grasp it and go with it. And then we're like, oh, we made it. Thank you, God. Thank you. And it's okay. And for me, it's like, okay, that works. And now it's like, oh, if I want to be part of this planet and I want to create in a different way, and I want to, this is where you have to look what gets you going, what you connect with, what you are, what makes you joyful as well. Because even in these situations, there is joy within you that you can connect with every day. And this is where I'm like, okay, every person has a lot to contribute to this planet, has a lot of possibilities to, and awareness. We often are also clouded, as the environment is clouded, we are also clouded with our jobs, or the things we have to do, or the musts, or everything else we have to live up to. It's almost like, you're on a break now. So what if we did look at different things now? And what if we allowed new possibility to show up? And are you willing to also go with them? Are you willing to go beyond what you know or have known as possible, and really consider new things? Because I don't think any area, well, maybe some areas, but very few areas are going to look the same after these couple of months. People, number one, I think people will have new habits. People will get a lot more awareness from things that they are neglected, new interests are going to arise, new things are going to show up. So for me, it's like, oh, am I willing to be at the brink, at the edge of these creations and go with that and even contribute with my awareness to bring this along even quicker? Because I don't think we're just going to go back to as it was in a couple months. I think the world is going to look very different. The awareness we're getting also from the planet, the way we live, the way we interact, the way we affect things, in a couple of weeks, we're going to see so much more. And I was like, so if we're willing to add our awareness to all of this, what contribution can we be? Do you guys have any thoughts or questions or ideas or things that you want to look at? I was even talking to a couple of my clients that have bars business. They do bars, they do body work, they do body processes. And in their world, it was very interesting because they more or less cannot do any classes. They can have sessions, they can have smaller classes. They still are allowed. Well, one country was allowed to have classes, and the other one she's not. And I was like, so if it wasn't a problem and we would look at it from a possibility, okay, so far you have had this version of your business that you have clients and then you basically invite them for a class, and hopefully they do go for a class, and at some point they go to bar swaps and you start building up a business, and they're in the build up. I would say they're in it. They've been in it for 2 years or something like that. I've had 3 that I talked today. It was a very fun conversation because they were like, they could go and just say, this is not working, I have a really big problem. And the beautiful thing that I explored with them was also looking, okay, if you cannot do one thing, what is it you could do with it that would create and generate more? So if your target is not at this moment to get them to a physical class, what could you look at that you could be creating and generating along the way until you're allowed to have physical classes again? So would you be willing to build up your business for the next couple of 3-4 months? Because I was giving a little bigger perspective. It might change in a month, but if you looked at a business for 3-4 months perspective and you could not post a physical class, what could you create and generate with your business today that would amplify everything? And it's more like, okay, willing to look at different possibilities. How could you connect with people? What could you provide that you haven't had time or haven't been willing to look at? What are things that also you can prepare in your business, but also you can build up different material. You can have a different connection with them. Have you called all your clients for the last 2 years? Have you been willing to be in contact with them? So are there things you could do and be different that also could create a different future? From every conversation I have with any person in my life, there's always a contribution to my life and to my business. And I'm so grateful because there's always something new coming up. It's not necessarily exactly what I thought, or it will not be linear. But I love it because there's still so much we can be and do for our business, even if we stick around in the same area. So just calling everybody on your mailing list or in your contact list, that's an amazing thing to do. And you will see it might generate and create something you have never ever anticipated is possible. And these are things most people just take away from their creations because they don't perceive that they have time. And there's a lot of things that you can do to create a personal connection, a personal, for me, this connection and creations, there's something that is magically created in that moment that I cannot explain. But for me, it occurs very often. And it's not, I call this person comes to, let's say, a class, if you have physical classes or things like that. Not at all, but there's an interaction that contributes both ways where I'm like, what if you're willing to acknowledge the amazing possibilities you have and that you can contribute to in your business without being linear and trying to figure out, how will I make money now? How will I do this now? How will I make sure that I survive this? So there's surviving mode and there's creation. For me, so creation possibilities are connected to each other, because if I'm willing to look at what are the infinite possibilities now in this time, in this moment that I've never ever considered, would you be willing to allow them and welcome them into your life? So everything doesn't allow that. Can we destroy and uncreate that? Good and bad, right, around, put a all nine shorts, boys, meows, and even just practical things that you haven't had time with. Would you be willing to do them? I know a lot of people, if you've ever heard about humanoids, they always wait to the last minute, always, with everything. And then they don't do everything because they don't have time. And here's like, if you have 3 months time, would you start today? Or are you going to wait to the last week? And this is for me, creating and generating is the kindness of doing things also today and not waiting and not postponing. For me, postponing and waiting are two energies that do not really create and generate. They create last minute energy. They create something, definitely. But the generative energy is often killed or not destroyed, but I would say you make it slower. You almost like slow the generating down when you avoid the things that could really contribute to this energy growing and generating, when you're willing to do things that we often as humanoids avoid. And we do them in the last minute. So what if you allowed things to do them earlier? What I've noticed by hosting and creating a lot of events and classes is knowing this mover capacity, knowing when something's required to do. So there is time and space for things to be created. We can do them in the last minute, and they will be great as well, but you don't have the time frame involved. For me, time is also a really great contribution, because people will do things in different paces. So if I do it really quickly or slow, it doesn't matter. Somebody else would do it in their way of doing it. And that's why frustration often kicks in for humanoids, because somebody else is slower. But you might not have given them the same time to be where you are. And we just want them to do it now, instead of like, well, you had 2 weeks to prepare this, and look at this. This person just got it in their hands. And this is where the fun for me is to look at how easy we get frustrated, annoyed, irritated, dislike things, because it doesn't suit you how things are being created and generated. And this is where I can, if I'm willing to look at all of those things and include them in my creations, I might also look how kind it can be to involve it earlier. Hi, Alexandra, do you wanna bring up something?
Yes, I do.
Hey!
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you. It seems that things are slowing down out there.
Yeah.
And do you have awareness, or do you have a question for me that I get along a little bit better with it?
Cool.
That I don't want to slow down.
No, I mean, you have an awareness of things slowing down. I mean, I know, for example, in Sweden, they say in the news, or we have press conferences every day in Sweden about the changes and all that. And the one guy that works with it really intensely says one of the strategies they're looking at is slowing down the process of the virus. That also means it's going to be longer stretched.
Mm-hmm.
Right, slow it down instead of go, and they want to, because basically they can't cope with if it explodes, no? So it's even their intention to slow things down, and people are slowing down and doing things more quiet. There is not this rush, there's not this beat and all that. That doesn't mean you have to be with that. And what if you're also willing to allow your body to have a relaxation?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed, like, I was fighting this energy in the beginning against it, because I was like, oh, no, it doesn't work. Okay, what energy can I be? What energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be? And then there was just this, there's a space. So for me, personally, when I look at space, there is no fast or slow. There's just space.
Mm-hmm.
When I create, interact, I perceive it as quick. But it's also then a point of view, what's quick and what's slow.
Yeah.
And
okay.
when I have my perspective on it, I often also have a reaction that can come up due to if I like it or don't like it, if it fits me or not.
Mm.
And that becomes, then you can say I'm not impatient or I want it quicker or blah, 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 blah. But basically, if I have any reaction to what is occurring, that also means that I have a point of view how it should be occurring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm reacting to it. It sometimes feels like going through the jungle with a nail clipper.
And I don't think you're very alone on this one. And for me, it's like people are on pause, on break, on waiting mode. I can almost perceive people's universe. Oh yeah, I will wait until it's over. You mean 3-4 months? You're just going to sit and wait?
Yep.
And I was like, does not compute, what? And that when I saw these, and I hear people saying it a lot, and I was like, huh? This is not my world. It's not my reality. So what can I be? What can I choose? What can I look at? What can I become aware of? Because if everybody's on break and if everybody's super slow and and I can say at the moment, I think most people, like for example, Sweden now, where they recommended everybody to work from home, everybody's taking like energy of holiday at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they work a little bit from home, but they're almost on holiday. And in Germany, I just heard that everybody's like renovating, doing the garden and all that. I'm like, oh, they're all on holiday. I'm like, wow. So if I tap into that world, I'm like, I'm not there. I'm not in need of a holiday. Yes, I can take a day off and just relax a little bit more because nobody is really pressing me to do anything. And then like, I'm going to go under. I'm not going to be happy if I don't have things that I can do and create. So, and if I look at my normal business, well, yeah, I can spit out online classes and I will be doing some online classes. But I'm also looking at what would I like to contribute with and not just spit out the next slide, the next slide, the next slide. I'm like, that doesn't work for me. And then I was like, oh, I could be reacting to somebody else's point of view. And so I've had to really look at all my reactions, all my points of views, because I'm not without points of views. I'm not without reactions. But now I have to be honest with myself. I can go around and complain about the shit. I can be the effect of all the energies, or I can start being a leader and creating my life. And that means also being willing to be aware of all the energies and also of the planet. I mean, what gift is this to the planet? I was looking at that when I was walking today with Sinja, and I was like, wow, the planet is pretty fucking amazing. It's getting like a break from all us stupid people. And I was like, is it that brilliant? Is it that what like Greta has been asking for a whole fucking year and putting it up in our face? Don't travel, don't do this. You guys are blah, blah, blah. And she's been annoying to all the countries, to a lot of the governments, like really annoying. And I mean, this is a 16-year-old girl, and people really destroying her and kind of like making her super wrong, and she's not right on her facts. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter. She's creating awareness. So I'm not trying to pick on her if she did right or wrong, or if her facts was right or wrong. I don't really care. But she created awareness, and she created question marks, and she created us looking at things. Now, again, we're in a weird energy where we're getting, again, we have to look at of things. We have to become more aware. We have to start doing things very different. So what if you are so aware? Well, are you willing to know that you're aware? Yeah. Are you willing to also know that you can choose something different?
Yeah.
Because that's the point here. Because either we're going to get stuck in the effect of, and it's very easy, it takes not a second. You put on the TV, you talk to anybody, it's the C word comes up everywhere. Corona, corona, corona. I'm poor beer, I'm just saying. Great, we have corona, and we have more. We can go beyond that. That is going to be the topic number one everywhere. There's not an email in my life at the moment that it hasn't to do with with corona. And I was like, wow. And they use it shamelessly in every conversation. I'm like, we're shutting this down because of corona. I'm like, what has that to do with corona now? And it's hilarious. So anything that people want to change now, they will use that, because you're not allowed to touch it. You're not allowed to touch that area. And I was like, huh. So what can we do beyond this? So if you are full of awareness of possibilities, Alexandra, and you're avoiding that, how much energies could be exploding within. So what if you were willing to use your awareness to your advantage now? Senior. What if you're willing to use your awareness to your advantage?
I could be much, much greater in a very short time.
Yes, but you don't need to know today what it is. But when you say, okay, we have awareness, and it's, for me, it's now either I'm in this little pot of drama disaster and I can go in it and I'm fine. And I was like, who can I meet so I get sick so I can get over this shit? It's just going to be 2 weeks of being sick. I'm not going to die. It's just going to be a flu. Come on, Lisen. Somebody told me, I think I'm sick. I'm like, can we meet? Can we just kiss or something? I was like, I'm going to jump to the other area because I'm like, it's hilarious. It's like, yes, people are dying. But I looked at statistic. It's not a lot of people dying that are not very sick with at least 1, 2, 3 other sick illnesses. And not that I want anybody to die, definitely not. But I was like, we need a lot more people that have been through Corona to be able to take care of the whole society. And I was like, well, if we don't have a vaccine, it's really good if people do get sick and get well again, because then we have a different energy in the country as well. But okay, that's my thoughts, and it's not something you're supposed to say loud, but I was like, maybe I should just get sick somewhere. But I was having fun with it because it's we walk around being scared if we get it or do not get it. People don't go to a restaurant, but they go to a supermarket. How many more products have people touched in a supermarket than if I'm eating in a restaurant? I'm like, people have no logic. There's no common sense. It's extremely like, "Arr!" And I was like, really? Are we that crazy? And I had a guy telling me how his thoughts were if you go to a supermarket, how many things you have touched. And then the cashier touches everything again with the hands that they have touched everything else too. And I was like, oh my God, he had the most fun explanation how insane all of it. He's like, yes, should I use my gel now, before, after I put the button, before, after I pack my things, and then I unpack everything at home, and everybody has touched them, the cashier, me, everybody, and then I spread that around in my house. I'm really awesome. I have it everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, this way of looking was freaking funny, but it's true. We invite it into our homes, and then we are at home and think everything is fine. And I was like, yes, we are a bit insane. So the insanity is everywhere. So we perceive insanity, and insanity is hyped. And just wait 1 more week, and people are super depressed. Like, there's going to be a depression, extreme depression. And I was like, okay, what can we be to contribute to people getting a different perspective of it all? What can we be that have awareness? What can we choose? Because I mean, I can in 5 seconds I can go in and get depressed. It doesn't take long, and I can be there, because you'll find a reason, justification why you're depressed. And I was like, wow, that's easy. So the people that have a little bit of bad circumstance in their lives, or the situation doesn't look great, or money situation, or family, or sick, or parents, or whatever, no? For them it's real to be depressed directly, and they'll choose it. They won't even see that it's a choice. And if there's mass amounts of, like, tons and tons of people that are depressed, okay, that's going to be an interesting effect on people. So what can we choose? If we're going to be the leaders of a different possibility, if we're going to choose something totally different, we also require to choose something different. So, and what contribution can we? What services can we provide? What inspiration can we provide? Because all of you have awareness, all of you have possibilities that maybe nobody else has, or they have, but they're not choosing it. So Alexander, what could you be creating? What could you be contributing with? What, not from must and not you should, more like, wow, what contribution can I be? And are you guys willing to acknowledge that you are a contribution? So if you look at the question and you just like ask yourself, am I a contribution? Am I willing to acknowledge that I'm a contribution? Do I rather want to reject that I'm a contribution and like, well, I can't do anything. I'm just me. So where do I go on a scale and like know that I'm a contribution and then willing also to be and do something? And do doesn't mean something we know we're going to do. Or we look, yeah, I'm a contribution, but, or I'm like, no, but I'm just me. I can't do anything. We're really good at making ourselves wrong. And I was like, that doesn't contribute shit. If we go with that we are not a contribution, or we are just alone, or I'm just a person, I can't do anything. Because your energy, whatever you choose, will create. It does not matter what you do, but it starts with what you are being, what you choose to be, what you every day choose. You wake up, and when I talk to friends, like I woke up and I thought I was gonna, I don't know, there's so much energies, and I was like, yep, it felt like they would run over a car, or they smashed their head in the wall, or they're just like dying. I was like, yeah, yes, the time is very interesting. Lisa? So yes, hi Anske. In that moment, it's choice time. Yes.
Yeah, for example, for myself, I don't mind to get sick.
No.
I'm taking care of my mom. She's 86 and getting dement. Normally, yeah, I'm there 2-3 days. I still do that. But then you hear all the things around you, and you can't go to a parent who's old. But talking about contribution, I was the last 3 days, and we had so much fun together. And we watched a fantastic movie, and we have laughed so much. And she doesn't get depressed. So I have something like, okay, I can stay away. But then, first of all, she can't cook for herself. So I cook for the whole week. She gets depressed, lonely. So yeah, it's sometimes a little bit difficult. What do I, for example, to have exchange with the bars tomorrow, do I go, yes or no? Because the risk for my mom is getting bigger the more people I see.
It's true.
And yeah, what's my question? How can I have more ease with that?
It's a really good question, because it's so funny. If you meet people, it's more logical that you are more in risk, but it's enough you touch a handle and you forget it. Like that's, if you look at the insanity of it, you just have to touch something somebody has touched a while ago, half an hour ago, or a day ago plus, and you can catch it. And yes, when we meet people, it's more alive, also especially psychologically. I don't know how it is where you live, how exploded it is, how much it is.
I mean, if you look at worse, and everything is closed now. The massage salons are closed. Everything is closed.
Yeah, then they do that in countries at the moment that they have no clue about what's going on either. But it's a prevention, so we don't meet each other, and I get it. And I also, one thing that, because I was looking at the same, my dad's in a big risk zone, and if I meet him, I can carry it without being sick.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I will never know if I have something or not. I will not.
That's the thing what's bugging me.
Yes. And then I look at it, number one, I mean, I think everybody has I've heard this comment a lot. I don't want to be responsible that somebody dies. Yeah. I totally get it. And I was like, no, I don't either. And I cannot know 100% sure, no matter what choices I choose, I will never 100% know that I will or will not affect somebody.
No.
I cannot. And then again,
other people coming there, so
exactly. I'm not God.
Yeah.
I have also not, I can't choose for everybody, so I don't have responsibility for my dad's choices. Mm-hmm. I also cannot be responsible for if, for example, he's depressed or not. If your mom's depressed or not, that's also a choice for her. So you, like, we can take.
She's not healthy in her head. She's getting.
I get it, but you went there. Like, if you're not there, she goes blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at that. I understand that, because of course you're a major contribution when you're there. I see that on my dad and my parents too. And again, I also have to be willing to live my life and allow them to choose theirs. And I also know I will do everything I can to contribute to them.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I do have to at some point look at the responsibility energy, because that might fuck me over a big time.
Yes.
This is my personal point of view. So this is just my personal point of view. And where I say, okay, if I go around being afraid that I catch something and I give it to somebody, I'm not going to try to expose anybody. I'm not going to try to put myself in a situation to get sick, although I joked about it. If I do that to get sick, I will 100% not meet anybody, because that will be my own little sickness. But that's a different choice, right? So, but I'm not trying to compare them. But we also have to look at that. Okay, am I willing to allow my body to know things? And am I willing to start having a different conversation and connection and relationship with my body? Because my body knows.
Yeah.
My head.
That's something else.
Totally correct. It's something. So I was like, how do we get there? That's not a good question. What are the infinite possibilities? But I also know that my body is not putting me in certain situations. And I can notice that when I go walking, should I go left and right? I'm like, there's a much more clearer energy where to go. It's interesting, because now I'm basically going down to my basic tools of foundation that I use every day, but even to a much more basic level. And I'm like, I'm going to, because for me, when I use a tool and there's no point of view and there's no conclusion what should be the answer. And this is the tricky one, because often we use a tool.
You also have a lot of projections of other people. My partner says you can't do that because you go to your mom. You can't do that because you go to your mom. That kind of stuff. It's not on my mind, but also around.
Yes, and that's where you have to look what works for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also willing to be clear to other people. That doesn't help me. That just gives me fear. And I'm not sure we want to be living with fear every day. It's stressful enough. Like, we also have to sometimes have conversations with people to make people like, hey, that's enough. I know what's happening, but I cannot stop living my life either. No. People love contributing with fear. They love it. They love spreading it. Like, I'm sure you've heard the jokes that fear is bigger virus than the virus and things like that. And it's spreading. It's like, it's massive, the fear and the actions people choose at the moment that are beyond any common sense.
Yeah, it's crazy what you say.
It is crazy. And that's where I'm like, oh, well, that's their choice. I met a person yesterday because I was picking up food at the restaurant, and there was just one couple, and it was two guys sitting there being like served like kings in the restaurant. Like, this is awesome. They were so happy. And they're like, and I looked at them and like, I'm just picking up food. Yeah, we're having the best time of our life. Look, we have a beautiful view. We have a beautiful waitress. We have great food. I'm like, yes, and they're like, and people really think we're getting sick here? I'm like, they were just hilariously laughing at the insanity of people. And this is where people would go and spread all their insane points of views as much as they can. Because they're
what you say. I mean, the restaurants are closed here now. There's
you're not open. You're not. They're not closed here
in Holland, and so it goes so quick now. But what you say, everybody's touching the cheese and the milk, and it's insane.
Yes, it is insane. And then we can just look at it as a really bad movie. And then I have to look at, okay, what would I like to create? What would I like to choose? And am I willing to go create a relationship with me and my body and consciousness and become aware of the possibility, become aware of the choices? Okay, I don't want to affect this and this. Okay, body, can you tell me? Can you tell me where to be and not to be? And then at some point, you might be the one contributing to something happening because somebody's been asking for it. And that's the tough part. We are pieces of a whole thing. Mm-hmm. So if somebody asks a different question and you're the best provider for it, you might be providing somebody with some shit because they've asked for it. And that's where there's no logic in all of this. But if I'm willing to start asking more questions, and I'm willing to trust that, you know, our bodies have awareness, they can guide us a lot. And I've been like almost like rolling back to, hey, I really have to be here and ask my awareness, not from conclusions, not from, like, it's almost like it's a jungle out there. So it's like, I can't even grasp the insanity anymore. So, hey, I'm going to get back to here. I'm here. I'm here. So what can I be and do today? What I was going to say connection, but what relationship, what awareness can I have with my body? And am I willing to start to trust awareness? Am I willing to trust, and or not even trust, just like, hey, there is energy, there's awareness, choice. Mm-hmm. I don't even have to think about it, but willing to go with the information I have, but also willing to see, oh, now they're messing with my head. Now I'm judging myself. Now I'm getting stressed. Okay, stop. And be willing to come back to the sadness, from the insanity to sanity. For me, that's just awareness. Because when I look at it from a perspective of awareness, I cannot see energetically anything wrong. Mm-hmm. When I'm in this world and I look at the situation, I see the insanity, I see blah, blah, blah. And it's so easy to go into blah, 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 blah about it. Like, do we like it? No. Some people, yes. some kids are having holidays and party and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was in the park today in Amsterdam, and it was full of people, and everybody had fun, and the nature is beautiful. So, just be with the nature, enjoy, and
Yeah, so it's not all bad, and it might even, you know what, it might, when I look at the energy, when I just look at the energy of it, I see so much happening, and so much, maybe even like when I look at it from a perspective, human beings connecting to each other, contributing to each other,
all kinds of projects is coming, and
I'm just seeing so much beautiful things where I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Because first you're in the drama, but then you see things and you see the contribution, and you see, even just like when you see a video in Italy, they're playing on the balconies. I mean, that's just so full of like, oh, I love it.
Monday evening. Fantastic.
Things like that where like, I think we're getting connected to maybe to basic things. Nature is getting a break from our shit. I'm like, if we're willing to look at this from a different perspective, we might have a really amazing life that is changing. We have asked for change. We have asked for fucking a lot of change.
Now.
Yeah. So now, and the same thing, if we looked at it and we're really just going to connect with energy, yes, there's a lot of drama going to go on, and there's a lot of people dying, and it's not going to be pretty.
Always.
I know, but let's say people. Yeah, I am on with you, but you're not allowed to say that. Yeah. If I say that to any other people in Access, they're like, no. Oh, I forgot. You're not to say that. There's facts, but they're not good enough. They don't like them. Yes, it does spread quicker. I think people die just like too quick in amounts. Something is going on where people have more drama about this, and it's fine, and it's not pretty. But when I look at it from a bigger perspective, it's, for me, I'm like, today I was like, I realized, wow, this is going to be
amazing.
Yeah.
You can be grateful for it later, I think.
I think we're going to be living differently. What I would like to inspire, encourage, start instituting already today is almost like tapping into the future and willing to start creating that now. Whatever, like almost like whatever we're requiring in the future, why would we not start implementing and choosing? Like, for example, if you look at a business, what awareness do you have? What is it going to be? What will be required? What will be desired? Mm-hmm. So you could almost already start creating from that space today. What it means in detail, I don't know. What
it brought me already today. I've a transport business and the massage and the bars, etc. Well, it all boom went down.
Yeah.
And then you can create something else, because we were lazy the last years, because we just went on what was. And now we get sharp again. Okay, what can we choose now? What, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I totally understand what you mean. And this is where if we start now and we start really willing to go beyond the drama that is today, well, I don't have money, I don't have clients, that's fine. That's yes.
Okay.
And
yes.
Because if I keep on being stuck there, I'm like shutting the door in my face, and then I'll be part of the complaint masses in the world, and have that moment if you require that. But then, okay, there is so much more. And this is where I basically want to say, like, if we give ourselves 3 months period now, or 2 months period of starting to create and generate from a different space, what will we have implemented in 2-3 months that nobody else have done before? And this is where I want to encourage people. I don't know if I'm going to do, I'm looking at having something in German. I might do it in English too, but where you have a forum together for 1-2 months. I was looking at 2 months in German, where you meet up once a week at least, and you talk and you bring some tools and you bring them into action. And also, of course, the whole money thing is going to be really amazing to look from a different awareness perspective on it. I might do it in English too, but it was something I'm like, no, there's a lot more we can be doing and creating now if we go beyond where we're stuck. And it might be an early conversation shift, because I think a lot of people still are okay, but this drama is going to increase with a lot of people. And some people already have a tough time now, but some people are going to have a harder time in a month's time. But I also like, hey, we could change this. We can do something different. And it doesn't mean that we'll be new Einstein and invent something totally new. And it might be. It might be. I mean, if every alcohol production would have a sanitized extra business and create sanitizer from the rest products, we wouldn't have a problem at the moment. But we also haven't had the demand before, so people haven't been looking at it. There's a lot of things that are trash or things we throw away from productions that we could be using to other things. So I think a lot of these things are going to start implementing.
That's happening already, yeah? Products.
Oh yeah, it's happening already. But if I look at all the alcohol businesses, all the vodka production in the world, they are not being used. So there is a lot more to be done. But it's just a funny thing when I look at it. We could have a mass production on this and we wouldn't have anything missing. And again, our demand is at the moment outrageous. So of course we might not prevent or be able to have all of this already ready, and that's all fine. And I'm not meaning that we should be inventing all these things. I just mean if we looked at our awareness for me is not having a solution in my head. Awareness for me is exploring possibilities without the point of view of needing money or solutions, because then you can tap into different things that might be also a little bit head in the future. And when you start creating and generating from a space of no need, from no drama, and this is where I'm grateful for the moments was prosperity consciousness, because there's no creation from need. Right. And I was like, oh, now is the time of prosperity consciousness. Now it needs to be in action. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a different space. Because it's not about I will have all the money in my bank and then I can be prosperous. So it's really about, okay, prosperity consciousness is a way of living, a way of thinking, a way of being, a way of using your consciousness and your awareness to create something, and not for solutions, for money, for blah, blah, blah. It entails that, but it's not where you come from. It's not where you're aiming. And if you can have more conversations with people, I was like, I'm more like encouraging people to have more conscious conversations about possibilities, because I think we can come very far very quickly.
But it goes quick, because you see it happening in the hospitals. Okay, you don't have that, but you can do that, and everybody's helping out. It's fantastic.
There's a lot more happening now than ever. And I'm very grateful for that. And we have a lot of possibilities, but it's very easy just to be stuck in certain areas. I'm good at this, so I keep myself in that area. And this is because your head is trying to figure out a lot of solutions at the moment. And especially when money comes into the equation. And I don't mean that shouldn't be neglected. I think you should definitely care for that a lot as well. And be willing
but
to
don't
also...
you think that people will start to think differently, because a lot of people will not have money soon?
Yeah, but that's what I'm meaning, that no, I do think that people should look at the money aspect as well.
Yeah,
and care for themselves, finding things and possibilities to make money as well.
yeah, but exactly, because they have nothing to lose, they start to think differently. But
They don't even have to think differently. So this is for me, there's different conversations going on here. So if you have a money situation going on and you might be in an area where there is not much money to be generated because you can't have clients, for example, I would definitely start looking at totally different jobs just to see where I could create an income. That's for me one area where just, because some people don't have a financial situation where they just can go home and not do anything. And then there is a different conversation where I include awareness of a totally different possibility, but they're not either or.
mm-hmm.
I've several clients now, they're looking at absolutely normal jobs because they know within a couple of weeks this is not going to work. And I was like, great, but they're taking action today. They're not waiting until they're in the drama disaster land. I mean, they were in call centers. They were just like, it's so funny because there's amazing people that they know these months are not going to be good for their business. Their business can catch up afterwards. But I was so impressed of them just jumping over and doing something totally different that you would say was not according to what they like or what they love or what they want to do in their lives. And I was like, wow, you're just jumping into action. I'm freaking impressed. And they were also encouraging each other because there's a couple of friends doing different things. And I was like, wow, I'm just impressed they're willing to go with anything to make it work because they know what they're working in for long term is going to be awesome. Short term now, it's not going to work. And this is where there's no right or wrong. There's also be willing to care for your situation today, also be willing to expand your awareness to the future, to look at different and have different conversations. Because in those conversations, you will, I believe, or what I've seen now, is that we will tap into things for the future that we could start implementing today, but it comes from a very different space, a very different possibility. And this is where I care that we all have possibilities to live during times like these as well. And this is where I want to invite you all to, well, what are the infinite possibilities? What do you require? What contribution can I be to you? And if anybody's here on the Zoom that just needs a conversation, call me. I'm fine with that. Do that. I'm not going to solve your problems. But here's the thing, what contribution can we all be to each other?
Yeah.
To each other. And I know you guys are from very different countries on the call here, and I don't know the regulations of your country. And for me, that's the facts. You look at them. But when you look at possibilities and you hit yourself with the rules, you might just be stopping possibilities. Then go beyond that. And then one question I always ask when there's like, but I can't do that because, then I was like, oh, but if it wasn't so, what would I choose? It's one question I use from Stephen Bowman a lot. If it wasn't so, what would I choose? Because then I invite awareness and possibilities into my world so I can receive it.
Yeah.
Because if I hit the wall of it doesn't work, blah, 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 I stop my awareness in that moment. And this is where I want to encourage people to go beyond that, because all of you guys have amazing awareness at the moment, but Corona is like a hat and it stops everything. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to allow Corona to be that for me. I'm going to see it. I'm going to hear it in every message I talk to anybody, and that's fine. But it's not going to stop my way of creating a different reality. And it almost like encourages me to create so much more beyond what I've been doing. And I was like, oh, thank you. I haven't even considered that at the moment. I was like, but I have to then be willing to be much more in action. I have to be much more active choosing. I have to be the leader of my life. Really conscious leadership is so now. It's not, I will wait. Well, some people will wait, and you can either wait or create. And create will look very different than so far. And I'll invite you guys to more of these conversations. And please bring your ideas and thoughts with us so we can also explore ideas. Because I think it's time to explore new ideas from a different perspective, not from the way we created so far. And I invite everybody to bring along their awareness. And awareness for me does not mean that you know something in your head, can explain it or have a conclusion about it or have figured it out, because I haven't figured it out. But I can see, since I started asking questions, my energy just got so much more vibrant and joyful. And I was like, oh, this is what's required when I go down and like, I'm just part of this insanity. And I was like, I'll be in there and I'll be out there. I'll be in there and I'll be out there again. And if I want a break, I'll go in there and just have a break, and I'll be on holidays, and then I'll go out and I'll, oh no, I do want to create. I do want to do something different. And I know this is something that has a time aspect. I'm not going to make time wrong. I'm also not going to make it wrong that it will take time or that it's slower, because that's, again, my point of view. And I mean, there's a lot of things that I have to work around, but there's so much services and possibilities showing up now because it is required. So what can we explore? And if you have ideas or thoughts or questions, let's share them with each other and see, like, bring it out in the world of so for me, it's like, oh, here's the world. And now we have a different space of awareness that we all can tap into and be and explore and have that. For me, it's like when we have it present with us, it creates. It creates, people can even perceive it. It starts growing, the new different kind of energetic virus, you could say, because people connect with it without even knowing we connect. But if I stop leading my life, if I stop choosing, I become the effect of.
Thank you. I like
Thank
what
you.
Yeah. Sorry. I like what you said about tapping into the future's energy and create from that space.
Right.
Because I don't know, 20 minutes ago, when you asked me the question, what possibilities I have with my business, it was like,
Yes.
No, I do have some points of view about it, but it didn't feel like that much fun. But from the future space, it's a totally different energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Because I think we all can relate. If we look at our business right now and we're in some kind of service business, it's like, oh my gosh, it's interesting, right? But there's so much possibilities. And I was like, if I look a little bit at the future, it feels so exciting. But then I don't know the how. I don't know what it will mean or look like or how I will implement it. I have to continue asking about it, to explore it. And I know it will show up. But if I try to figure it out really quickly, it might not show up at all. So give it also a little bit of time, but we're willing to almost like energetically be in action every day with it to really start moving, because this world is full of possibilities. It's really full of possibilities, but it will look very different. It will be a very different energy. It will be a very different way of doing things. We can't just continue doing things the way we have done then, or even, oh, but if I do this, this will be great. I mean, people sell this to you all the time. Now all of that will most likely not work. Now awareness is our best tool, is our best, I don't know how it's full of genius things, but I have to, it comes here. It doesn't come from everybody else. It comes, oh yes, it does come from everybody else too. So we can tap into it, but you have to bring it alive with your questions, with your willingness to know that you're a contribution, willingness to know that you're aware, and ask. Don't figure it out, ask. But again, tap into, make it huge, make it big, make it time-wise also 6 months, year, 5 years, 10 years. Tap into the creation, the possibilities. I was just looking at habits of people and I was like, oh, but all the habits that the people have through the next couple of months will change how we create from then. And I was like, oh, wow, that is impressive just to look at that in every different area. I mean, I don't think we'll travel in the same way. I think we're going to do lots of things in a very, I think our desires are going to be different after a couple of months. And I was like, wow, that means there's many more possibilities if I'm willing to tap into that and bring that in and look at that and start asking about that. So let's have some creation moments together, creation stations, energies where we explore that. But from my perspective, it's also at some point you need to go into action. Because even if our, let's say, I don't know if you're going to say product, service, or whatever, our business is first in 6 months, you still can create it today. You still can start creating it. So those 6 months are really great. Instead of, if you hadn't done it, it would maybe take 2 years. So this is where we have possibilities. We cannot just see them in the second. So what amazing possibilities there are there for everybody, of all of us. And if you have a corona shit day, we'll have a corona shit day and get over. And ask somebody a question, or call somebody that has possibilities in the universe, or go for a walk in nature. Ask freaking nature. It's almost like nature is so much more loud now, and like, talk to it, talk to animals, let them contribute to us as well. I'm not gonna allow this to stop myself. Well, if I get sick, I might be in the in my bed a little bit longer, but you never have to stop creating, ever. But we will, if you follow the energy, you will stop more. If you start becoming a leader of your life, you will see a lot more possibilities. And thank you guys for joining. And if you speak German, you can join again soon. At 9 o'clock, we have German conversation. Let's see what the Germans will talk about. But I was like, I'm going to invite 2 more possibilities. I've also talked to Jonas today. He was very busy today. I was like, oh, I have so many good conversations with him too. It's like, I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to bring in a lot of people. Let's have conversations, because I think it's time to explore new things and contribute to each other on a different level. And let's do it. And I think a lot of people have great conversations out there. I've listened to quite a few different Zooms and videos today, and I'm like, wow, let's go. It's time. Practice Zoom hopping. Yes. Oh, more possibly. Yeah. I mean, I think we're too busy about problems. Put on the TV, it's problems. Everywhere is problem. Let's start a new trend, the possibility trend, because there is that definitely. So yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining and creating this energy, because the energy we are now, that we can also contribute to the world, because we're being it in this moment. So let's ask this energy to generate more, to contribute to more, to spread out in the world to whoever requires it. Oh, hi,
Lisen, this is Eleanor.
Huh?
This is Eleanor. Can I say something?
Yeah, quick, yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank you because, from especially talking about the waiting game that I feel, it has given me a lot of ease. Cool. Because I think, I'm in the restaurant business, and it's a complete shutdown, at least for 2 weeks here. And I grew up in the waiting game, so it comes kind of natural to me. And I am very aware of it. So I've been here being creative, cooking and taking walks at 7 a.m. in the morning, that kind of thing. But there is that background of, it's almost like an anxious waiting.
Yeah. Yes.
As much as I'm aware of it. So you just said it there. What amazing possibilities can I create? I like that.
And right somewhere, don't wait, create, because I think the waiting will sometimes try to take over because it's so alive by people at the moment. But if you are one of those that really like creating, just be aware, remind yourself that it's not waiting time, it's creating time. And it requires of us choice, because if we tap into the energy that is, we will lay down in a sofa, watch Netflix or do something, and it's fine. We might need the rest too, so it's not wrong. But if you want to create something, you will need to be the leader, choosing yourself. Nobody else will tell you do it. You'll have to choose. We have to choose. That's why leadership is really within us. So I have to be willing to lead my life and not be out there and lead everybody else. It's like, really, because it's very, very, you can notice it's almost like people touch you with energy. Oh, just don't do anything. Now we can rest. Now we can take extra free time, and now we don't have to do anything. And I was like, but that's not my nature. That's not how I be. I can do it. I've been off a whole week, 10 days with my dog now. I'm enough on waiting mode at the moment. And I was like, So what else is possible now? And how can we inspire each other to look at different things, to ask questions, to have fun, to be more joyful, even if people are not choosing that, and see what inspiration we can be and what can we create? Because I think we can create amazing stuff. And I'm not gonna give up. I'm like, no. Now I got like this kick in my own ass. I'm like, no, let's go for this. Let's get it out there. Let's start, and also allow there to be time involved. I cannot go against it. I can use it to my advantage.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Change
everybody, for
tracks.
joining. And let's have more conversations, and I'll invite you to more things. Thank you, everybody. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Hey, bye.
Ciao, Lisen.
Tschüss, bye. Oh, hey.
Mach's gut, mach's gut. Schönen
Danke,
Abend.
tschüss. Bye.